side. As he said himself, Julien said, we worked on his shooting over Christmas, lovely to get back with family and friends, been away from the team, and often an athlete who doesn't hit that many, that often, is refreshed coming back into the World Cup.
Well, it was business as usual by the time we got to the pursuit, and an astonishing display of skill from Martin Fourcade. Again, Mike, the crucial phase, hitting those last 5 targets, and it was a comfortable win for him. He knew he had it in the bag by the time he'd finished that last shoot. No one in sight down the home straight when he crossed the line. So, win number 8 of 11 races this year for Martin Fourcade. Takes his tally up to 57. What's it going to be come the end of the season? The record of 12 wins in a season surely is going to go, Mike. That's held, of course, by Uliana Bjorndal, and he did that in 2005.
He did, but he only did 20 races that season. I think it will be broken now. The way that Fourcade's going, we'd expect him to win 15.
But the race of the week was the mass start, and this is how it panned out. Fourcade getting back into the race, having hit all the targets again on the last shoot. He went for a sprint in the first 500 metres of the last lap, and it cost him. Not just did Simon Schempp come through to take the win, but keep an eye on Eric Lesser on the right-hand side of your screen. A brilliantly timed sprint from Lesser. He got into second, nothing between him, but pushed Fourcade down into 3rd place. But 24th World Cup podium for Simon Schempp, really important in terms of his second half of the season, and of course the World Championships. You've got to beat Fourcade before you go to Hochfilzen if you're going to enter the Worlds thinking you can beat him.
Confidence builder, absolutely, for the Germans, but I don't think it'll knock Fourcade in terms of confidence. He is ultimately designed to be confident in his abilities, and their great abilities.
Well, he's won 3 of the 4 sprint races. He won all 3 sprints before Christmas. That's never been done before. Let's have a look at how the victories have shared out this year. We've only got 4 winners, and noticeably no Norwegian flags there, Mike. So that stat you came out with in the men's relay.
At the end of the men's relay, when I said a Norwegian hasn't been on the podium yet in the individual races this season, I think that might change today, and I think we'll be looking at a Norwegian flag in that little circle after today.
Well, it's still a tough task. I'm sure we're going to get a Norwegian on the podium. They have a fantastic record here, and actually in the sprint held here last year, Norway got 1, 2 and 3. The 2 Berg brothers 1 and 2, and Svensson in 3rd.
Traditionally on Sunday, Caroline Scars will name each and every one of the volunteers of the shooting range.
Well, just in time to see the course profile here in Ruhpolding. You'll be familiar with it from the relay. It's a 10-kilometre race, so 3.3 kilometres thereabouts for each lap for the men's 10k sprint. And the same two hills, Mike, the same two crucial hills where gains can be made.
It looks on that profile we saw there, it doesn't look too testing. It is. That hill, never to be underestimated. That's where Babikov got it wrong. He went far too fast up that hill the first time in the relay. And there he is, starting 14th. And it really burned his legs or his energy supply for later in the race. Same again today, 3 times over it, but 3.3 kilometres each lap instead of 2.5 yesterday.
Well, let's just flick through the starting order. You'll notice that the favourites are fairly well spread out, to be honest. The Norwegians have decided that it's best to go early. The Italians and the French favouring a slightly later start. They're going for the middle of the group, really. Simon Schemper, Germany, 66. Now, if anyone knows how the conditions are going to change and who's in the best position, Mike, it surely is the host nation.
You would think so, and I noticed they have opted not to go in the first group. And I think there was a little threat that some heavy snow is coming. It certainly is for Wengen today for the Alpine races, but it hasn't landed here. And I think that's why the Germans opted to go Group 2, 3 and 4.
And there you have the last sheet, 107 as you can see. Fabien Claude there for France, late start for him, hoping to make an impression to become a regular member of the French A team. Tough team to get into nowadays with Dessieux going well. Fillon Maillet certainly has a lot of promise. Bit of a disaster for Simon Foucault in the relay 2 days ago. Well, here are the officials doing their traditional Mexican wave, which it's certainly not a tsunami. But you can see just how many people are involved in making sure that an event like this runs smoothly. And every year there are more volunteers than are required.
And international volunteers as well. Everybody wants a piece of the action, and it's not just what you see in the range. Then, of course, there's the convoys of buses. You have to power it down even outside of Ruhpolding town and get bussed up into this venue. The village just cannot handle all the traffic. It's so popular.
Yeah, I had dinner last night with a couple of people who knew nothing about biathlon. I asked them how many people they thought would be watching a women's relay lunchtime on a weekday, and the estimate was somewhere around 100. Staggered when I told them that there were about 35 to 40,000 in the stadium and around the track. So great atmosphere being generated. That's 3 World Cups in succession. There's Juliane Bjorndalen, the most wins of anyone here he's got 10 wins here in Ruhpolding. Can he make it 11 today? So just a minute or so to go before the start of sprint number 5 for the season. Russell Courier of USA will be the first away, a man who was born in Stockholm, but Stockholm, Maine, which is right up the north-east of the USA, not far from the St. Lawrence, actually, and only about 4 or 5 kilometres from the Canadian border, so he could easily have been in the Canadian team. Which would you have chosen?
It's a difficult one.
Diplomatic answer?
Diplomatic. I certainly love Canmore as a training base, so I'll go for Canada. That is the most beautiful area to train, I think, in biathlon.
Well, here he is. 29-year-old now, lives in Fort Kent, which is, of course, is one of the biathlon training centres for the Americans. Personal best of 6th. He'd be doing very, very well to match that today.
He skis very well, missing 3 last week. He finished 46th, so his ski pace is only about 50 seconds off the fastest.
Been slightly put in the shadows by Tim Burke and, of course, Bailey. It'd be nice to see him come through and flourish. That may happen in the next couple of seasons. Hasn't bettered 34th so far this year. Christian Gow of Canada. So 2 North Americans chasing each other out of the start gate. It's going to be an interesting situation. Weak point, I think, a standing shoot record under the 80% mark. He's at 77% at the moment. He did shoot clear in Pachuca in the sprint there and finished in 33rd, so won himself some World Cup points on that occasion.
Yeah, interesting his start in biathlon. He was introduced to various different sports after the Calgary Games. They've got all the facilities, and it was biathlon at 10-year-old that he thought, no, I want more of this, and clearly been training hard since 10-year-old.
Thomas Asila from Slovakia, he's been shooting pretty well in the sprints, 28 hits out of 30. There aren't many people who've bettered that this season, so consistent in this short discipline.
And Hasila, he's one of these rare biathletes who shoots statistically much better in the stand at 89, which is very good stand shooting. 89%, 83 prone.
Now, Serafin Wiesner for Switzerland. Benny Vega starting to look a little bit better, so maybe he can do something today. And while we watch the early starters, Mike, huge response to our all-time women's relay team. The most common response was, how could you leave out Tora Berger? Most people wanting her in there really for her fight, her tenacity, just because she was a pleasure to watch. I'm still not sure you'd put her in the relay team, but you're not going to weaken a team by putting her in.
You wouldn't. So many big names, the four we came up with yesterday. Tora Berger is an outstanding name in biathlon, and the Norwegians are missing her without a doubt. Imagine her being in the Norwegians team yesterday. That third place would most likely have been a first place.
Yeah, to do an all-time men's relay team, send us your ideas, but I suspect three of them are pretty much a foregone conclusion, as in Poiré, Oleana Bjorndalen and Martin Fourcade. The question is, who are you going to put in as number 4 from the all-time list? I know Mike would go back quite a few years to find his.
I think so. I would go for the local lad here, Fritz Fischer. He never let the German team down. What, four Olympic gold medals, 4 Olympics he did. Great anchorman in the relay.
Wiesner.
That's a bad start. That's a bad. His rifle whacked down, got his head as well.
He's all right. His 80 kilograms landed in the right place. Might have a bruise on his left glute tomorrow morning. As we watch Yeliot now for Belarus, and I think this man can make top 30. He can get in a good position if he can hit 10 out of 10. His average, though, in the sprints is 8 out of 10, and that's nearly always pushes him down out of the World Cup winning positions, i.e. below 40.
Bulgaria, I think we could safely say a growing team in strength. Of course, the women's team way back in the early 90s were winning relays, were winning individual competitions, not so much in the men's field. I really believe in Iliev, his teammate today, starting 15. I honestly think he can get his personal best here and possibly get on the podium.
As we watch Anton Sinopov heading out, quite a few viewers from Northern Ireland actually, and Pete, he puts Kukalova in the all-time list. In fact, we ruled the current skiers out because we wanted the all-time greats to take on the current greats. But Kukalova, where would you rate her up against Tora Berger?
Yeah, Kukalova's, what she's got is the strength where her bad, usual thing, bad days aren't that bad, and she'll rarely let you down in a relay. Give her 3 spare rounds and the confidence even grows more. Certainly alongside Berger.
We might hear something from these guys today. They'll be hoping that the Norwegians can do something. This is generally where Norway get their best results of the year. As we mentioned at the top of the programme, 1, 2 and 3 in this sprint last year. Johannes ahead of Tarjei Bø, and then of course Emil Hegler Svensson getting on the podium. My goodness, it's a long time since Emil Hegler had a win. 2014, December 2014. But he's starting to look as though he could do it, and if he has a pair of skis like he had in the relay, it could be his day. Sergei Semenov. Now, you may not think he's got a chance, but we have to wind the clock back to Oslo last year. Bronze medal behind Martin Fourcade and Oleana Bjorndalen.
He's shown strength this year as well. Nova Maisto, 7th position. Oberhof in the windy conditions. He's a very good shot. 14th, I think he was.
Otsunas 4-0 he shot in Oberhof. He was a little unlucky, got some windy conditions when he came in for the prone. That's not going to be an issue today, so no excuses. But missing 4 in the prone, it's hard to put 100% into the skiing after that.
Oh, it's a shocker, a confidence breaker without a doubt. But as a biathlete, you have to put the negatives behind you, keep focusing on the positives. Well, here he is. He's done this for so many years on these tracks, Bjorn Dahlen. Just another race day for him, and he's had so many. His preparation is much the same every time. You see him in the warm-up pen, dancing around with his ski poles to work and warm up the arm muscles as well as the leg muscles. And I would imagine in his mind he's believing he could podium again today.
Well, that's quite a rapid start for Bjorn Dahlen. His last win was December 16, of course, one up in Östersund, but when was his last win here? It must be some time ago. He's had 10 victories here over his career. 13 in Hogfilsen, I think he's had 13 in Antolz as well. So the victories are fairly well spread, which sort of tells you he's an all-round athlete, Mike, because there are athletes like Schemp who tend to excel when we go to altitude, and it's really tough.
And at this time of the year, Schemp with Oberhof, with Ruhpolding coming back home, and this is his home in Ruhpolding, he seems to grow a little in stature. We saw that last weekend in Oberhof. To take on, to match and to beat Fourcade, that's no mean feat.
35, or is it 36 now, relay victories for Uliainen Bjorn Dahlen to add to the 95 that he's got from the World Cup. So he really has got a fantastic record, 130 wins in total. Johannes Tingesbo, he's the defending champion. We haven't seen him since before Christmas, so hopefully he's got over his illness. The Norwegians are very good at being disciplined, Mike. When one of their athletes is ill, they just don't let them race again until it's 100%.
And you could guarantee with Johannes Tinges, he'd be trying to convince his coaches, listen, let me race, I'm fine. But you're right, you need to be 100% better before you take on these races. Russell is taking his time, that's no bad thing. And then that happens. Oh,
so that's the end of a good result for Russell Courier. That's really sad. First 3 went down. The conditions are good, Mike. The mats are firm. I don't imagine it's the fact that the left elbow is moving, but maybe just muscling a little for the last 2.
Certainly the last one was bad drills. I think he just let it go too fast, or he hadn't stabilized. He was annoyed having missed the previous one.
Sukkot, biggest moment of his career, bronze medal in Sochi in the Winter Olympics 2014 in this discipline. 3 times he's been on the podium in his career, always in 3rd position, and part of a very strong Czech team. Now here's a man who's been coming to form recently, finished 4th in the sprint in Oberhof, did well to shoot clear, didn't quite have the ski speed, whereas in the olden days he would have had the ski speed but wouldn't have been able to hit the target. So things have sort of turned table.
Look at his start though, Lukas Hofer. He likes this place at the Junior Worlds 2008. Twice he was 4th position.
Emil Hegler Svensson won the relay for Norway a couple of days ago. He's going to be feeling good as we watch Wiesner. 1 miss already. He needs these last 2. Well, got nice rhythm.
Nice rhythm. His rifle's fine after that fall, that irritating fall, what, 300-400 meters from the start. What I've noticed, Patrick, surprisingly, this wind is always very calm. There's a little bit of tricky wind. It's, as usual, circling around within the stadium. And it's died down a little. You can see top right of our picture.
Oh, I was just about to say, is Semikov going to be the first to clear all the targets? No, he misses 2, just like Russell Courier, and the wind picking up quite dramatically for those last 2 shots. I'm not sure he picked up on that, and it's a day to keep that left eye open, and a day when those who have a double blinder might be caught out. 22, Benny Vega trying to match the Fourcards for facial hair and probably winning on this occasion.
Will it slow him down? Well, keep him warmer, I suppose, if anything. Vega, remember, what, 3 years ago, he was on great form here, and he took a very bad fall. In fact, it was at the World Championships. Hospitalized, the rifle got the back of his head. They took him to hospital, kept him in the night. Disrupted his season by about 3 weeks. Well, the Ukrainians did so well, I thought, coming fourth in the relay. Very good quartet to shoot so well. And good form, good ski time. Only about 20 to 25 seconds off the pace in the relay. Well, the older brother, very much in the shadow of his younger brother, but he was leading the way, was Simon Foucault in his career. Yellow bib many times. But yellow bib going into the Vancouver Olympics, leading by 14 points, and then he came 71st in this race, the sprint at the Olympics.
It's going to be interesting to see the pacing from Simon Foucault, under orders to take the first lap easy in the relay. It somewhat backfired. 5 extra rounds required on that first leg by Simon, and France never really recovered, despite Martin Foucault putting in a tremendous final leg. Hemel Hekla Svensson on a high. Has he finally got over that relay in Sochi in 2014? I think he probably has, after his performance. He's away. He's much hungrier than he's been for the last, what, 24 months, Mike?
I think he absolutely is. And I think Mazet, the French coach, coming over to the Norwegian team, has given Svensson most confidence back, given himself belief again.
Whoa. Well, just slips that last one in at the bottom of the target, but all 5 have gone down for Birkeland, and this could well be the quickest time so far. 8:14 is demoted to second. Birkeland leads, 8:05 on the clock, so that's encouraging for the Norwegians as we see Semenov in action. First target down at 7:42.5. Well, that's quite a quick shoot for all 5 rounds. Now, what's this man going to do today? Still be a brave man. The bookies still don't fancy his chances of winning, Mike, despite that he's now a 2-time winner.
Well, the victory in Oberhof, you often think that gives you confidence for weeks, but his shooting wasn't great. Eberhardt in the relay wasn't good at all.
Mazet, and he's looking at the wind, is the Norwegian shooting coach.
And so is Bjørndalen, and I love the way he doesn't confuse things with his left eye, still being able to watch the flags. He keeps it half open.
We're getting a bit seasick watching the shot of Bjørndalen bobbing up and down, but that's because of the increase in wind, just catching out the cameraman. He does well. I suspect aiming off a fraction, Mike, with the change of the wind.
It seemed that way because you're right, the flags are dropping almost straight, therefore no wind, then they're picking up almost immediately, so you can't really afford to adjust the sights, you just want to aim off a little.
So Norway 1 and 2. I think that was Benedikt Doll just starting for Germany and tucking in behind Uliane Bjørndalen. I suspect those positions will be reversed as we watch Anton Babikov, reckoned to be the future of Russian biathlon. Highly thought of in Russia. And he's made a big name for himself, of course, getting his first World Cup win this year. Now this looks quick from Johannes Tingis. We'll just let you know on the entry to the range, Bjørndalen 7:08. Johannes Tingis boat just 2 seconds down.
4 seconds actually, 3.9. He started at 1.8. Johannes, with that enthusiasm of his, he had the fastest time.
3 clicks anti-clockwise.
So now he's taking one back, so he was anticipating anti-clockwise, the wind from the left.
Well, he's one of probably 3 or 4 athletes who can win having missed a target, but it does make life very difficult. If Eberhardt or Fourcade or even Bjorndalen or Svensson shoot clear, then Johannes Tingesbo likely to find himself off the pace of the leaders. But his return to the World Cup, Mike, he'd obviously love to win. Realistically, what do you think his plan was this morning?
I think he would have started for the win. He started very fast, as I said, at 1.8 he was leading, but I'm just looking at him now. He's not the sparky Johannes Tinges that we normally see. Yeah, and that time indicates just that. The penalty lap, maybe 22 seconds, so he is a little off the pace. Started fast, the muscle memory or his mind memory that he has to push that pace, but the body isn't quite following the messages from the brain at the moment. Well, this is strange, Patrick. I predicted we'd have 21 perfect shoots today and then a further 30 missing one. Now, we normally get about 50 who shoot 1 or less on this range, but we've only got 3 shot the perfect scores so far from 17. Well, from 18 now.
We consistently say that this is the easiest range on the tour. The men's relay didn't prove that, and already today, more targets missed than we would have expected. Lucas Hoffer, can he... Oh.
Do you know, he's settled, and look at that, he has to take his head away from behind the rifle to check the flags. Wasting time.
Difference in conditions certainly between the 0 and the race. How much do you predict that the change in wind conditions is moving? Although we have to point out that the wind conditions are changing, and that's the thing, when you do get wind in Ruhpolding, it's never a consistent flow. It's affected by the surrounding hillside and the trees.
Very much, and Zingerle, he knows his biathlon so well. I think he'll be radioing out to his coaches on the track and saying, right, this is where Looky, this is where Hoffer has missed. It will be an indicator, and they may tell the athletes coming behind him, the Italian athletes, to make an adjustment.
Tim Burke for USA.
But everybody is aware that the conditions are tricky, and look how long it's taking for the first shot release. Normally 14 seconds, they're waiting till about 17, 18 today, most of them. Nice.
So Tim Burke comes out with a clear shoot, and he's not going to be too far off the pace, which is still led by Uliana Bjorndalen. Astonishing stuff. Remember, he's going to be 43 this month, and he's still up there with the leaders. I'm not sure he's going to stay there. Martin Fourcade starting number 60 today, so it's going to be a while before he comes through. One of our viewers in Australia wanting to know, it's Craig, wants to know where you'd go to watch your first ever biathlon live. Ooh, he's got a long way to go, we know that, but
so we need to get it right.
Which venue would you go to?
This is always good. We talked yesterday about the feeling and the atmosphere in the village in Ruhpolding. It's a nice atmosphere. It's good here. It's easy to get to. But I think I would this season recommend Antholz. It's so beautiful up the Antholz Valley.
Yeah, of course it depends what you want. If you want a bit of sunshine in one of the most stunning areas of mountainous areas in Europe, then Antholz is your winner. If it's the post-race atmosphere you're after, Ruhpolding is excellent. If you want a little bit of culture, then I guess Oberhof's a good one. If you want to ski after the races yourself, then I think Oslo's probably the best bet.
Oslo is excellent. You've got the city there. You look now
and if you want cheap beer, Novo Miesto.
The Belarus athlete there, we saw him miss 3 in the relay, and that was 3 penalties. He cannot hit in the stand at the moment. He only hit 1.
You know who's going to be watching this? His 3 teammates from the relay saying, why, oh why, couldn't you have done that 2 days ago on the first leg of the relay? So because if he'd done that, France probably would have won.
It almost certainly would have won. What, after the prone shoot, Simon Fourcade was 1 minute 18 behind.
Best shot we've seen so far from Svensson. Drops that one a little bit low left, but and the last 2 go further left. Explain that, Mike, as he's shooting from right to left. The further he goes left, the further left the rounds are going. Well, could have been the wind.
Yeah, the wind is playing a part, but if you shoot 100 straight shots without a pulse rate, you do find there's an arcing, and those 4th, 5th shots there's a tendency to be slightly further left. There's a raising in the middle, the third shot generally. So you create this arc as you span the 1.2 meters where the targets cover.
Wiesner, the new leader, after the second shoot. Birkeland certainly has a chance to get inside. Might even do it with 4 out of 5. This is looking better from Birkeland. I think his confidence is growing and his results are getting better. That's a very, very good shot from him. Of course, he missed out on the relay 2 days ago. Christiansen and Larbe Lund pulled in, and they got themselves a win. Julian Eberhardt just leaving the range as we see Birkeland 55 seconds inside. Eberhardt completing his first shoot, and he's got the lead. My goodness.
He's back.
Yeah, he's found some form, and you know, even before Oberhof, he said, over Christmas, I decided I didn't need to work so much on the ski speed. It was all about the shooting. Can you turn it around in 2 weeks?
It's a mindset change. He's made a conscious decision there, and the fact that he's still skiing very fast, but he's not going as crazy as he used to on his skis.
Bjorndalen now needs 5. There are enough people clear in the prone who are challenging his time. There's the first miss, and there goes his chance of a win, but we could see a decent enough result. Benedikt Dole started alongside Bjorndalen, slightly surprised that Dole didn't settle on the mats first. Good start, 7:56. Is he going to be beaten? I don't think so, but he's only going to be a second and a half or so either side of that time set by Eberhardt.
Well, Mark Kirkner, his coach, knows full well that he's very good statistically in the prone, but what, only 69% this season in the stand. I really hope he can get his 5 stand, and I believe he could win the race if he does. He's skiing that fast.
Yeah, he's a real worker, isn't he? Again, falls into the bracket of those who haven't quite perfected the technique, but make up for it with hard graft. As we watch Malishko, great athlete when it comes to the pursuits and the mass starts, particularly the pursuit. He loves the comeback, but you can only come back if you've done badly in the sprint, which maybe tells us something about his performance in sprints.
Interesting. He's off the pace at the moment, and 11.2, multiply that 3 times, or has he started within himself? This is going to be fast. I think that's his chances hugely reduced for even a podium, having missed that one shot.
Vladimir Iliev. We're being accused of leaving out Magdalena Neuner from our all-time greats. She did actually come up in conversation. We surprised ourselves by not including her first time round, but she certainly was included after that. But it's a difficult shout. Both of the Magdalenas got a shout, Neuner and Forsberg.
Lesser's got a lot of work to make up. That's 28.1 seconds deficit after just the first shoot.
He missed 2 in the Oberhof sprint and still managed to finish in 5th position. Difficult shooting day, certainly. Rastaguyev's one of the fastest shots we've seen so far, and maybe just need to settle it down a little for that 5th shot. Johannes Tingesbo won this already. If he wants a top 10, all 5 have got to go. Doesn't look quite as steady. Oh, reflexes are sharp. Oh, fantastic shoot. That's just what he needed on his comeback from illness. And Johannes Tinges will challenge for wins at some stage this season. Is he going to do it today? 16-18 from Bjorndalen. He's way off the pace, isn't he?
As the race is going on, he's more and more fatigued. He's not even in a hurry to engage his ski poles. Normally they would be on in a flash, so he's clearly not quite over his setback.
Well, we saw Daria Domracheva, Mike, a similar sort of situation. Very quick over the first lap in the relay, and then progressively got slower and slower. 4 or 5 races before you're back to your best.
Maybe even tomorrow. Johannes, a blowout today, get a reminder of how painful this sport is, and you never know, he could be good tomorrow.
Still plenty of big names to leave the start gate. Dominik Vindiš is the next of them, who starts 30 seconds after Krasimir Anev. The Bulgarian underway, 10,000 meters, remember the distance. The winning time last year. Johannes Tingspo, 21.57, just under the 22-minute marker, and that was with the perfect shoot. Trying to remember what the conditions were like. I think it was quite quick.
Confidence will be boosted from last week, his third position up in Oberhof. Windisch.
Yeah, two third positions. Third in the sprint, third in the pursuit. Looked at one stage as if he was on for the win, but missed 5 out of 10 in the stand.
Now look at Tim Burke's time. If he gets the 5, he's going to go into the lead.
It's quite a big if.
Oh, that's a pity.
He can still match Babikoff on 16.49, can easily get inside there. Back with Benedikt Doll, who's gone through the first shoot unscathed and working his way through the traffic. Stitzel's off again.
Good change. The pole needs to be taken off the track. I think the tracks might be getting a little... You saw how glazed the tracks are now over the top of that rise. In fact, Bakarnishov, the Belarus, has got the fastest time, bib number 36, into the range. First time.
7 clear after the second shoot, and Benny Vega makes that 8. In fact, I'm looking at the pre-shoot. That's from the pro. My apologies. Birkeland and Vega are now the only two to have shot clear after the standing shoot. Bjorndalen, of course, missing 1, but still with the fastest time. So Bjorndalen's ski speed is very, very impressive. What about Petrushny? He's going to be close enough, but he's right down the bottom end of the range. So he's got an extra 50, 60 meters to ski before the clock will stop. He's going to be close. And the fact that Bjorndalen's done a penalty loop would suggest that the Norwegian will hold on to top spot, despite the fact that he's only a second inside Petrushny. Svensson. It was a good prone shoot, Mike. One of the best we've seen from Svensson for a year or so.
By my reckoning, he's about 8 seconds off the pace into the range, or off Bjorndalen, that is.
But Bjorndalen with a penalty loop. 9 out of 9. Lovely finish. Great finish from Svensson, just as he did in the relay. He is back and he's loving it. It's nice to see him racing. Success, Mike, is probably the greatest motivator out there. And he's got Simon Fourcade to ski with on his final lap, so that will be quite handy.
Well, no.
Oh, no, he hasn't. Simmons had a turn of sharp left.
He's turned left. But no, Svensson's confidence is high. He was in all the newspapers for his turnaround, taking Norway to the front in the relay. It didn't look likely. And he's a man with confidence, Svensson.
And you know, we've talked about it many times. Norway have had phenomenal success here in Ruhpolding, particularly in the relays. Russia and Norway, of the last 12, I think, have shared victories. They've had 5 apiece each. And now Norway, with their one 2 days ago, push it up to 6. What about Eberhardt?
Well,
he shot clear. He hit 9 in Oberhof and still managed to win. 16.09. He's going to be inside that, Mike.
He's going to be well inside that. And once his coaches tell him the margin, he will work even harder. He'll see it himself on the scoreboard.
Now, does this mean that Fourcade is not going to win? 12.2 seconds to play with, but he can't afford to just use that information. Hey, Norge, well, they'll be enjoying it at the moment, but I think they are well enough informed to know that Svensson is not going to take too much time out of Eberhardt on this last lap. Bjorndalen coming in, and he goes for the lunge. 7.3 is the new race leader, but started very early.
Benedikt Doll, I mentioned the percentage is 69% hit rate, and he's sticking to trend there. That is so sad. He's setting the fastest times on the track. Good to see Jakob back. He's just shot in the prone position. He's missed 1. Skiing is good. He's only 30 seconds off the pace.
Well, we'll try and track Eberhardt on his last lap. Svensson is on his way, hasn't gone through 8.4 kilometers quite yet, but we are expecting him to challenge Bjorndalen's time. There was 9 seconds or so between them. Now Malishko with a chance to get within, what, 10 seconds of the leaders? He should do that.
Well, that's the way to do it. He barely breathed between shot 1 and 5.
2 days ago, Babikov was exhausted, totally exhausted, and maybe it shows today. But take away the penalty loop, Mike, and he's right up there with Bjorndalen, but that still puts him some 25 seconds slower than Ole Einar. And when Babikov won in Östersund, he was probably the same margin quicker than the Norwegian.
I have to say, I was a little surprised to see him on the start sheet, the way he kind of hit the wall in the relay. But of course the Russians entering him again today. Come on, Eric. Oh, the last shot again. He trips on that last shot so many times. He can't believe it. A shake of the head. And once you get into a habit of thinking about the last shot, the habit creates more hassle. You dig yourself in deeper when you really think, okay, I'm on my last shot again. And that seems to be what's going through Eric's brain at that moment.
You've often talked about thought patterns and really trying to treat that last shot like any other. Absolutely block out the thoughts of, my goodness, if I hit this last one, I'm in for a good result. You've got to stop that happening. Individually, you will have had your own techniques. Let's just keep an eye on Johannes Tingis coming across. He was way off the pace, coming through the range for the second time. Down in 5th position, 49 behind. It will get better. It will get better. We've just got to rejoice that he's back on the scene because it livens up biathlon.
You can see how much that's hurt him. He's looking a little pale.
What I was interested in, Mike, is as a team, did you go through any psychology? Did you have any mental training to cope with the pressure of shooting?
No, I didn't. I read a lot of books on shooting, and I read a lot of books on psychology, and sort of married the two in, and hearing stories, luckily to work alongside an Olympic silver medalist in shooting, and got a lot of feedback from him as well.
But will Simon Schemp and the German team work on that? Because it's got to be a massive aspect of the sport. It is a massive aspect, and if you're thinking about marginal gains, it's criminal to leave the psychology out of it.
It's a huge part, and I think every team will bring in, not all the time, but will bring in a psychologist to talk about, to work through procedures to try and control the pressure here.
Krasimir Anev, Bjorndalen, famously using, I think he was a managing director of a vacuum company to help him on his way back in, what, 2005, 2006. Vindish, early shoot for him. Oh, expensive. He still would have been off the pace set by Julian Eberhardt.
Oh, not good. Tripping over the athlete coming in. Oh, big time loss, massive time loss.
Well, we've seen it so often, Mike, and so often these little incidents actually change the positions at the top of the game. I think with Vindish missing, he's not going to feature.
Well, we see that again. I think it was the Russian athlete coming in, just caught the tip of his skis.
Was it Kukalova who lost in Oslo, having dropped her stick coming out of the range?
I think she lost by
1.2 seconds.
Yeah, she had to reverse, go back, pick up the ski pole.
We had the collision between Germany and Norway in the women's relay. Norway, in the end, missing by 15 seconds. They could easily have won that one.
Yeah, and Fenn, she lost without a doubt. She lost a few seconds in the fall, but it completely disrupted her race. She was running level with Hammerschmidt.
Great shooting from Benny Vega. 10 out of 10, but still 10 seconds behind the best.
Now, Martin Fourcade will have started, and he is the fastest at 1.8 kilometers by 5 seconds. That's a huge margin.
Just looking Eberhardt's time out on the tracks. He's gone through 8.4, he's gone through 8.9, he's got a 19-second lead over Svensson now, having started the last lap 12 seconds clear. If he can keep this sort of shooting going through to the middle of February, we might be looking at Julian Eberhardt as a world champion. Svensson is going on the podium for the third time this year. It's been a good week so far. Played a key role in Norway winning the relay, and now he's put himself into top spot. 19.8 clear, not guaranteed a podium. He's not going to win with Eberhardt storming up the track behind him. Eberhardt started exactly a minute behind Svensson. That's a good draw.
And Eberhardt will drop Björn Dahlen off the podium. Here he comes now, Björn Dahlen, third position at the moment. Well, he's found his biathlon now. He's found how he can manage his mind to hit the perfect 10. He's only done it once before in a sprint race.
And the fact that he's taken a substantial amount of time, another 9.7 seconds out of Svensson on the last lap. Eberhardt knows it's a podium. That looks like a victory celebration, but he knows that Fourcade was starting number 60. He shoots clear for the first time this year.
Landetinger there, a good result as well. He only missed one. He's in 5th position.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Martin Fourcade coming in for shoot number 1. I'm not sure he'll be concerned with what anyone else has done at this stage. He will want to know come the start of the final lap. He needs to know if he's got to put in a Pachuca dash. Here we go. The rounds will appear a little lower right than they actually are.
His time into the range is 8.5 seconds faster than Eberhardt was.
And he's clear, and I think he shot just that fraction quicker than the Austrian, so he could be going under the 750 marker. Not quite. 750.3, and he's got a 6.3 advantage. Astonishing.
We've never seen such an athlete, a biathlete who on a daily basis, he's won 8 out of 11 this season. Two of his bad days were 3rd place. His worst day was an 8th. He's invincible. But if he misses in the stand, that's the only chance that Eberhardt has if Fourcade misses one.
You better put an almost in front of that, because he has been beaten this year. There's nothing to say Eberhardt's not going to win. What we're not aware of is the pacing. For Eberhardt to take 9 seconds out of Svensson on the last lap, I think shows that he saved something for the last loop. Can Fourcade take another 5-6 seconds off that?
I think the intensity, he went out of the range and up that little rise. He's meaning business here.
3 misses and still only 1:08 off the pace. Each penalty loop taking around 22, 23 seconds. So Benedikt Doll certainly skiing as fast, if not faster, than Julian Eberhardt. So he's another one that we need to consider for medals at the Worlds.
Well, Benedikt Doll, he just absolutely has to turn the stand shooting around and work on that. That's all he needs to do. Hit 2 more in the stand, he'd be top 5, top 6 today.
Anyone would think that the cameramen around here have time on their hands. Loveland with a good look down the range as we see Erik Lesser coming into the finish. Shot clear in the relay, couldn't manage it today. 2 misses, and they've proved expensive. 1:13. So Benedikt Doll missing 3 and an extra 5 seconds quicker than Erik Lesser. So maybe he's starting to tire.
Labe Lund, he's taking a long time to get through these 5 shots, but he was only 3 seconds off Fourcade's pace into the range. The thinking shot. The last shot so often.
I know a few of our viewers are sort of practice or train biathlon as well. Mike, any tips for that final shot, the thinking shot as you call it? Can you persuade yourself that actually there are 10 shots and you're only halfway through? Or
I think if often when your thoughts begin to wander and you put pressure on yourself, take it to your breathing. Just focus on your breathing.
Simon Schemp coming into the range.
Yeah, 6 seconds behind Foucault into the range, and I think that was slightly faster than Foucault's shoot.
Around 5 seconds behind. What do you think? Maybe a fraction more than that. 6.9.
Still in it.
It's
Still
good.
in the game.
He's pretty much on schedule with Julian Eberhardt, who's the current leader. As you watch Eberhardt's teammate Mesetic clear the first 5. Another of those over 40s who are still making an impression on the world scene. 10 out of 10 for Danny Mesetic. 15.57, far too quick for him. But I think the big man will be happy. Probably a key man for the Austrian relay come the Worlds, and they need him to be skiing another, what, 10, 15 seconds quicker.
They do, and I think the Austrians will pick up some ski form. Eberhardt doesn't need to, but Landy needs to find another 20 seconds.
Well, the caption, a little confusing. Is that registering that he's still got a round in the barrel?
I missed that, Patrick. I was looking at the computer.
Well, he had 4 targets down on the screen, and it registered that he'd only fired 4 rounds.
Interesting. Every biathlete should have spare rounds, should one eject and fall over the front of the firing range. That's allowed.
If you don't recognise the athlete, you'll certainly recognise the stock. Anton Shapulin. It's not going to be his day.
It's not his day. He does a lot of good work back home in looking after and giving to orphanages and looking after the kids, taking them out skiing. I think he gave something like 40 pairs of skis away.
Yeah, these guys certainly in Russia, they're as big as footballers are in this country. Clement Bauer, much better shooting. He'll be happy with that, but still almost a minute behind the pace set by Julian Eberhardt. We've yet to see Clement Bauer's best, but 9 out of 10 is actually a very good shoot for him.
Remember his best day when he missed just 1 as well at the Olympics in Vancouver. In this race, finished 4th. 2 seconds, I think it was, off a medal. Then that's painful.
Krishmar for the Czech Republic, just settling for his first shoot. Martin Fourcade's time is there. We'll try and pick up on Fourcade on his second lap at the moment. After the first shoot, as you know, he had a lead of 6.3. We'll try and pick him up at 5.6 kilometers.
He's getting faster and faster.
Wow.
11.1 ahead of Eberhardt.
11.1. Now, is he thinking, if I ski a little bit faster, I can afford a miss and I'll still win?
He's building that buffer, isn't he, where he could afford a miss.
This could well be him. Here he is in the yellow bib, and Martin Fourcade catching on one of his teammates. The skis are good. Look how much ground he's eating up on the way in. Just standing a little tall now to make sure that he can fill those lungs with air. One of our correspondents, Mike, saying surely any drug you take to improve the speed of your skiing affects your shooting in a detrimental way, and anything you take to calm yourself down slows you down on the tracks. It doesn't quite work like that. If you were to take something like EPO, which boosts the amount of oxygen you can carry through the system by increasing the amount of hemoglobin in your blood, it actually helps the shooting as well because you recover so much quicker.
Without a doubt, you can take allegedly a much higher pace. Clearly, you've got more red blood cells in your body, you recover much quicker because the oxygen is flowing and distributing itself more quickly. We don't often see Fourcade slowing down quite the way he has here. And he's gone completely to the end of the range because that's where the big sidewall is that blocks the wind. He pre-thinks everything, obviously.
9 times he's cleared the last 5 in races this year. It's a phenomenal effort. He's been on the podium in 10 out of 11 individual races. He's on the podium again today, and it's likely to be another win. What will the margin be? He came into the range with an 11-second advantage over Julian Eberhardt. He's still on 15:35 on the clock, and he's got 22 seconds. He's going to keep that margin over 10 seconds. It could be closer to 15. Here we go. 13.2, and Fourcade be a little bit irritated that Kumanagi of Japan just nips in front of him, but it doesn't take long. Couple of side steps and he's through. The work rate has to stay.
He did shout for Kumanagi to move, and he did move straight away, and that's all part of the rules on the track.
Schlesinger. I think he's been the best of the Czechs so far this year.
What a bad start, the first shot and the second. His ski speed in the relay, he was overall, he was about the 4th fastest ski time, Schlesinger. This has memories of his racing back home at Novo Mesto. I think he missed 3 out of the first 5. That's a pity.
Yeah, he looks puzzled, not quite sure where they went. Still, they leave the starting gate. Villeitner starting now for Germany. Nice to see a new name brought in. It's not so often it happens in the German team. I think they have a tendency to stick, to be faithful to their top performers, whereas the Norwegians are nearly always trying to blood someone new.
Yeah, well, this is first World Cup for Villeitner, and I think the policy this year, you're right, the Germans always kind of stuck to the same few, but if you're performing well at the IBU Cup, immediately you're promoted to the World Cup. So it comes off the back of his good performances in the 2nd division.
Matti Bischel with an excellent shooting performance. Bauer on 23.51, he can't quite match that. Benedict Doll 24, that's a big scout for him to take. Even though Benedict missed 3 in the stand, Matti Bischel will be delighted with the fact that he's not the last German out there. You'll recognise the colours of the American suit. More tangerine than red. Not sure I go for it myself.
The left-handed Lowell, that was good. He took his time. He knew that the flags are moving around, so he didn't want to risk any margins, costing him somewhat 5 or 6 extra seconds the time he took to shoot. There's his younger team buddy just ahead of him, Doherty.
Pfeiffer over 8 seconds behind Martin Fourcade coming in. It's a steady shoot, certainly not as quick as Martin Fourcade, and he's going to end up probably, what, 11, 12 seconds behind? A little bit more, 13.2 the deficit, so losing time on the tracks, losing time in the range. Simon Schempp throws away his chance of, well, he might have challenged Eberhardt, Mike. He might well have done.
I think he would have, but now he's got to turn left onto that punishing penalty loop, killing a lot of your pace from leaving the range and breaking your spirit slightly.
Well, now is the time to put your money on Simon Schempp for a victory next week in Antholz, just after he's failed here in Ruhpolding. He's not going to catch this man. Martin Fourcade still streaming past the opposition. A little bit of traffic which will have slowed him down. That's one of the disadvantages, Mike, of starting number 60, because you've got people on their first lap, people on their second, people on their final one. He's got to work through all of them.
It is a busy track, a lot of traffic. He'll be asking Morovitz to step out of his way, and Morovitz, that's a bad day. He's bib number 56.
Up goes the pace for the final climb.
Oh, look at that.
Julian Eberhardt in the finish area, watching the clock. And he knows that this is not going to be his 3rd World Cup win, but to get 2 sprint podiums in succession is more than Julian Eberhardt could have wished for at the start of this season. Win number 58 coming up. Just having a look at the later starters. Simon-Schempp was really the only man threatening. Lowell Bailey went clear on the prone. He's 16.8 behind after the first shoot, and I don't think he can turn that around. Fourcade, he's gone past those three, extends his lead. The discipline, Mike, to dance your way up the hills at this stage of a race.
And a number of these athletes behind or that he's passing have got fresher legs, some on the first loop, some on their second loop. Of course, Fourcade on his third loop.
Chapulin lost his chance on the prone, and with a total of 3 misses, he's going to lose ground in the World Cup standings.
Well, since the Christmas break, often Chapulin comes back refreshed mentally, physically, and shoots well at the World Cups after Christmas. Not this year. He was shooting very poorly in Oberhof as well. Chapulin's confidence will be down, but he always feels good about Antholz coming along next week.
Svetkov looked cool enough. Definitely a change in the rhythm for that last shot.
He hesitated.
Yeah, physiologically, Mike, your body is craving oxygen more on the last one than any of the other shots. Anything else that makes it harder?
There's a tightening, there's a panic, because you've got achieved. If you've hit 4, you're nearly there, it's tangible. That's a good day, and it's so hard to keep the brain out of, if I get this one, it's a good day. But physiologically, no, you're at your most recovered on that last shot. You've got your breathing slightly under control.
The current standings in the finish. We have Julian Eberhardt in top spot, Emil Hegler Svensson in second, Malishko of Russia third, Pedrushny of Ukraine 4, Bjorndalen of Norway in 5. They are all about to go down one position because Martin Fourcade is storming his way into the finish now. He had a lead of 14.5 seconds at 8.4 kilometers. He extended that by 8.9. We're looking for a margin of around 15 seconds over Julian Eberhardt. That takes some doing. Well, he's taken full advantage of the fact that he started number 60. Incredible. His 4th sprint win out of 5. He'll take his tally of points, 274 out of a possible 300 for the season in the sprint events alone. 18 seconds inside. He never let up on that last lap.
And he barely looks out of breath. How does he do it? He really is special.
Well, it doesn't matter what Granichev does. He's not going to match Martin Fourcade. The celebrations surely can start, Mike. There's, looking at shoot number 1, no one else has got anywhere near. Simon-Schempp, of course, we thought might do something on Pfeiffer's 13 seconds adrift, having shot clear on that first shoot. But he's not going to close 13 seconds on Fourcade, who just got faster and faster on each loop.
Well, I thought, yes, we saw Granichev shooting. I thought if he's within 9 seconds, there's still a flicker of hope because he is a real fighter. But he's 18 seconds behind, almost a penalty loop behind, and he shot 5 out of 5.
Now, how close would Simon-Schempp have been? Well, not very close. You can see 49. He's only done 1 penalty loop, so at the most, you can take 25 seconds off that margin.
He did so by putting the brakes on again. He can't cross 50 metres. You're not allowed to run further than 50 alongside your athletes.
It's the style that he does it. That's what impressed me.
To maximise his information. Run a little further, put the brakes on, tell them everything. Schempp looking a little flat today. I know he worked so hard in the relay to take them through to 3rd position. Not as sparky. Remember, Fourcade going up here was brutal, dancing his way up.
Michael Villaitner. That will do for his first ever World Cup. 26 years old, so he's not exactly been brought in young. Well, it's not his first ever. He has raced before, but not for the last 12 months. His best ever 69th position, and that's when he raced in the sprint in Hogfilsen back in 2016, so last year. Now, Look how many of the top positions have shot the perfect score. Bjorndalen, the fastest of those to have missed. Even with 10 out of 10, Bjorndalen would have struggled to get into the top 3. He would have gone ahead of Malishko.
Very good shooting among the first 5 athletes, also with Malishko and Bruce.
Es wird spannend. Unser Wille geht auch. Wir wollten über Wonder sehen. Da kommt die Beste für 60 rein. Da muss der Wille dabei sein.
And the camera is on Lowell Bailey. Shooting
When the
with his
commentator
left
mentions your name, it registers. Lowell will have absolutely heard that. It's in English.
Okay, so prediction.
Come on, Lowell. I just hope he gets them. I think he might miss one. 85% rate hits, I should say, this season. Come on, Lowell.
It's looking good. It's looking good. Slight delay, and he's thrown it wide. Oh, what a shame. That would have been a chance of a top 10 for Bailey. 81, Arndt Pfeiffer right down the bottom end of the range. Best of the Germans in the finish at the moment, which is a little surprising, is Bischel, who's lying in 13th place. Benedikt Doll in 15. This could change that. That's better from Arndt Pfeiffer.
Now he's gunning for a podium and raise the spirits of the spectators.
Simon Shep, 52 behind, despite the fact that he had a miss. So he's now the fastest athlete to have missed a target. And Germany's fortunes changing over the last 30 seconds. Erlend Bjørntegard on the range for Norway. The Norwegians actually shooting very well today. They'll be happy. It's often reckoned that the easier approach here in Ruhpolding plays into their hands. And Bjørntegard 24 behind, not bad at all. 27th position at the moment, but if he can go clear in the stand and keep a margin below a minute, he's looking for a top 5 or 6. Shapulin. But he can't hope for that with 3 misses, and it all went wrong early on. And it did look as though he had, you know, he wasn't really enthused for the rest of the race once he missed those 2 prone.
Oh, it's a spirit breaker, isn't it? Missing 2 out of 5. Penalty loop twice. Semi-breaks your spirit. He didn't give in. And I don't think he slowed down too much, but it just does not get confidence. It's not going well the start of his new year in terms of his biathlon, Shapulin. He'll be back though. Spetkov, he'll be wondering why he missed the last shot. He's one of these athletes who generally gets them down, and very rarely does he miss his last shot. It's a good mindset.
Just having a look through Martin Fourcade's stats, as I'm sure you're aware, as we've seen his number of wins often enough this season, he takes it up, assuming he wins, and I can't see anyone else getting ahead of him. That will make it 58 World Cup wins. The only stat that doesn't really make an impression, and certainly isn't the best on the tour, is the fact that he's only shot clear on 4 occasions, plus today, so that's 5 races this year, only 5 where he's gone clear.
I'm surprised to hear that. And it shows the day that he has a bad shooting day, which is generally 1 shot miss, he can find another little gear to ski even faster.
And of all the races this year, all the individual races this year, he's only been off the podium on one occasion. So that's a record he's likely to beat this year. Bjorndalen has the most number of wins in a season. He did that in 2005. Fourcade is already up to 9. If he wins again on Sunday in the pursuit, which is highly likely, he'll equal his personal best, and then he'll just have to get 2 more wins to dethrone Oleiner.
It's incredible. It's hard to believe that he's come in so strong this season. I know he keeps working every summer and working on his weaknesses. I can't see any weaknesses. What's he going to work on next summer? It's quite amazing.
Pfeiffer's getting stronger, no doubt about it. Can he make a top 5? Should be able to. I think the podium might be out of reach. Svensson in the finish area is 39 behind. Well, he's only got 3 seconds to make up to get top 3, so it is possible that Pfeiffer could give the German crowd something to shout about. And Stitzel with his hockey stop is working overtime today.
Every team needs someone who's going to run for you, work for you all day, and Stitzel is that person. He used to race himself. He was good.
The very fact that the camera always picks up on Stitzel suggests that other coaches do not behave like that.
No, they don't. Generally, you need spirit. Wolfgang Pittler gives the spirit. Maybe he doesn't quite run as fast anymore for the Swedes, but he's got the spirit.
So, Quentin Fillon-Maillet with a miss. And the level of sprinting at the moment, you've got to be perfect on the range. Let's see what Pfeiffer can do. Can he get that margin down below the 40-second mark? No, he can't. It's up to 47.9. I think he's starting to fatigue coming into the finish. He knows exactly what he's got to do. The Germans have more manpower out on the tracks than anyone else.
They have Low Bailey just ahead of Pfeiffer. Remember, Low just missed 1 shot, and that's the penalty loop, with Pfeiffer starting 1 position behind him. And that's Doherty, the American suit, taking some meters out of his teammate Bailey.
Yeah, I think 4th is the best that Pfeiffer can hope for. His teammate Simon Schemp is sitting at 52. Last time we saw, Pfeiffer was 47. He's now starting to up the work rate, but will he be able to get through past the Americans? It's going to take an extra effort, and I'm not sure it's in there.
Bailey picking up speed, that's impressive. He's passing Doherty, who only came in. He missed the early part of the season with glandular fever.
This must be Vleitner. We'll let you know how Simon Schemp is. He's only got another 160 meters or so to go. Vleitner might just finish his shoot in time.
Yes, at the last check, Pfeiffer was, only 11 seconds from 3rd place, sitting in 4th place on the track.
Yeah, Malishko lost ground in the closing stages. Simon Schemp picked it up with the support of the local fans, and it's Schemp lying in 4th in the finish area at the moment, and he's watching Pfeiffer as he comes into the finish. Here he is, round that corner, and then he'll see the finish line. We need a sprint from Pfeiffer if he's got one in there, if he wants that 4th position. Svensson, 23.13 is certainly safe. Schemp on 23.27 could be going down. Less than 100 meters to go for Arndt Pfeiffer, looking to finish the best German of the day, but it's going to be tight. He's got it. He's got it. Good finish. 51.8 the margin, and 4th and 5th place going to Germany. They miss out on the podium. Fourcade in top spot. Eberhardt 2nd. Svensson lying 3rd.
Shooting so far and with his overall performance. His girlfriend,
Still a way to go in this race. Bjørntegard of Norway. We're just trying to let you know where he was after shoot number 1. He was inside the top 30, but only just.
Yeah, 41 seconds behind, as you say, in fact, 30th position. Bjørntegard when he came in to the range. Quite a number of his athletes ahead of him. Did miss on this last shoot.
Norway have 3rd, 8th, 10th. And we have to go all the way down to 35th, where Johannes Tingesbo is. So not a bad day, but not the sort of record that the Norwegians expect here. They have, at the moment, got someone on the podium. That's Svensson. I think Svensson looks fairly safe, Mike, despite the fact he's 39.7 behind Martin Fourcade. So he's getting better, but he's still got a huge margin to close down on Svensson. What is that? That's... what, a full 2%, maybe a fraction more than that he's behind Fourcade in terms of ski speed.
Yeah, two targets. So in the pursuit competition Sunday, if he shoots clear and Fourcade misses 2, Svensson has a chance of taking his first victory. It's unlikely.
Slightly longer race, so Fourcade might have to miss 3.
It's not impossible. He's missed 3 once this season in one shoot, in the stand shoot. Last weekend. Just looking at stats so far, only 13 athletes have shot the perfect score. 28 have only missed 1. So you need to be, 45 athletes shooting 1 or less. As usual, this range one of the easiest, even though we can see the wind swirling there. Zhizov missing 2 and taking a huge amount of time, and he had to, because this wind really is coming in strong, and this snow falling is going to make the track now at least 12 seconds slower than it was earlier. Doesn't look much, but it does have that impact on your skis.
Yeah, and those who decided to start in groups 2 and 3 will be very, very relieved that it didn't come half an hour earlier, because that certainly would have put pay to Fourcade's victory, or would it have done? His margin 18 seconds. As you say, it can be worth 12. You have to cast your mind back to the Olympics in 2010, when Vincent Jay took full advantage of a change in the conditions during the race.
It's incredible. It happens, and it has happened so often. Remember the cross-country world champs in Japan as well. And Lars Berger, the biathlete, won the 15-kilometre.
Lars Berger, his career ended by knee problems, really. Not so often injury puts pay to your biathlon or cross-country career. Granichev, 9 out of 10. Roughly a minute off the pace of the best. With a clear shoot, he would have been looking at 7th or 8th position.
When the 2 fastest men in biathlon, Fourcade and Eberhardt, shoot the perfect score, it just destroys the field. Spencer's almost a full, 20 seconds behind Eberhardt, and then it's a long way back to the next person. And generally we see 12 to 15 athletes in the first minute of the winner. Today there's only, 7 within the first 1 minute from the winning time.
We'll have a look at the analysis of the race later on, but I suspect, Mike, Fourcade, Eberhardt, Doll and Schemp are the 4 men with the quickest course times, or the quickest track time.
I think you're right. Schemp certainly missing 1, yep, in 5th position. Labe Lund may be the only other one. He missed targets, but he was setting all the early pace and only margins behind Eberhard. But at the end of the race, he's way down.
Italy with no one in the top 30 at the moment. Dominic Vindish not having his best day out, which is a shame because he's been showing good form so far this season. Change in the weather, it's great for the tourist board. Every inch of snow is very, very welcome at this time of year. First winter scene, to be honest, that we've had this year. As we watch Vilaitner come in. First World Cup this season, and 9 out of 10's not a bad record. If he gets World Cup points, he will be more than happy. And nice to see that the locals are giving him a fantastic reception. 149 off the pace of the best. We'll see better from him. But as I said, Mike, he's already 26, so what's he got? Another 3 years to show that he's...
I think so. I mean, it's great that he's being included, and the spectators realise they praise him so much. They know how nervy it must be, and it is, for your first ever World Cup or in Ruhpolding, racing in front of the spectators. And it's not a bad time from Vilaitner. You're right, he's got World Cup points in his first outing.
Bjørntegård got forced into Group 4 for the Norwegians, and I suspect that he's had a very tough last lap. Still skiing well. Dynamic.
Remember last year, Bjørntegård, it was a 20-kilometre here last year. Of course, 1 minute penalty per target missed. And Bjørntegård, I think he was 9th in that race, as he was, 9th position, missing 2 targets. So he did ski very, very fast here last year. And he's still doing that 1 year later. Icy corner now. We have seen a few pile-ups actually on that very bend.
Just the one miss in the stand. He hasn't shot clear in a sprint so far this year. Actually, his standing shooting record is poor at 60%. Saw him in the sprint at the Worlds. Disappointing there, found the pressure of the home crowd just that little bit too much. 3 misses, actually didn't even qualify for the pursuit, so that was a big blow for him and the Norwegian team. And just in case you're unaware, Sunday's programme, 2 pursuit races, so Martin will be going first. He's going to have an 18-second margin, a lead over Eberhard. Svensson will start 3rd, Pfeiffer 4, Schemp 5, Malishko 6. Only, what, we've only got 8 athletes starting in the first minute.
It's quite very unusual. So rare do we see that. Although Johannes last year in the 10 kilometres, of course, 2 World Cups came here because Oberhof didn't have enough snow. And Johannes, thing is, he shot the perfect score and he won by 24 seconds. That was last year. And of course, Foucault winning by 18 today. Bjørntegård, he was told at the top of the climb by Arne Edlund running alongside him that he needs to pick up only 3 seconds to pick up 5 places, and that's why he's gunning for the line.
It's not going to be easy in these conditions. He knows the effect of this type of snow on the tracks, and his skis may have been prepared for fresh snow, but I think it's unlikely because the skies were relatively clear when he started. 1:26, 21st position, good World Cup points.
Incredibly, just looking, Patrick, from the top of the hill with, what, 500 metres to go, Bjørntegård has lost effectively 10 seconds compared to Foucault's time. It's quite amazing.
But a lot of that's the speed of the downhill.
And the snow falling, maybe indicating the tracks are quite a bit slower right now.
I'm sure some of you are thinking, Well, when's it advantageous to go later on? Certainly, if you've got wet conditions and then the temperature drops and you get a higher percentage of ice out on the tracks, it gets treacherous, but it gets much, much faster. Sometimes, Mike, if you've got fresh snow before the start, you're then waiting for the athletes to press it down. If there's no more snow, then those at the back in Group 4 can have an advantage.
It does happen. It's rare that it does happen that way around. And that's why the coaches always prefer, if they can, Groups 1 and 2 to put their favourite athletes.
And of course the coaches also have to look at the wind conditions, because weather forecasts now are so good, so accurate, that if they're predicting a drop in the wind halfway through the race, not a bad thing to go later on.
We see that so many times. We saw that in Pokljuka, quite windy at the start, then it dropped off towards the tail end of the race. I think we saw that in Oslo at the World Championships last year. As with any winter sports, though, it's not luck of the draw. The coaches put you where they think the favoured conditions are, but then Mother Nature can throw a few surprises as well. Lonely race out the back there for Formellini. He did start last.
Well, he's in 50th position, and he has yet to qualify for a pursuit this season. So, although he's not challenging the leaders, and he's not even looking for World Cup points at the moment, if he does qualify for a pursuit, that's a really big step. And it's all about taking those little steps. Actually, something we haven't done. I know Scott was racing today. Mike, haven't seen him or heard from him. We'll try and get his shooting scores.
Scott, he missed one in the pro and he missed one in the stand. And you would need to be 2:18, in fact 2:26 behind the lead time to qualify through for a pursuit start on Sunday. Scott, no, form not back. He lost a lot of time in the last lap. He lost a minute 15 on the last lap. So form not back at all.
What does Dad say about that?
He's 22. He's gaining experience. He had his health setbacks after Christmas and during Christmas. Hopefully he'll be back strong for the 20-kilometre in Antholz next week.
Two minutes 5 behind his teammate Martin Fourcade, setting a blistering time, 22:34. And remember, the winning time last year was 21:57. So Johannes Tingesbo couldn't match the form that he showed last year. But actually, I think Johannes Tinges will be relatively happy with the way the shooting went. Obviously, found himself short of endurance, really, wasn't it, Mike? The first lap, well, the first kilometre was as quick as anyone else, but then it was a slippery slide after that.
Yes, I'm trying to see. Well, he's 37, having missed just one. He's nearly 2 minutes off the pace. And you're right, Johannes set the fastest time at 1.8 kilometres, so his memory was there of how it should be, but the body didn't follow. It didn't stay that fast.
So here comes Formellini, looking for his first top 60 of the season in the sprint events. The 25-year-old from Livigno finished 56th in the World Cup, in the World Championships last year in Oslo. That was missing 2 targets. He's gone one better here. He was in 50th when we saw the last split. He's lost a couple of those. Savitsky, Elysium, 60 is Semakov. Can he get inside? Yes, he can. And 60th position, and that will not change because Formellini was the last man to start. He's going to be the first man to start in the pursuit on Sunday, provided he decides to take his position. Oh, not the first man, the last, of course. Yeah, so I confused you there.
Yeah. What on earth?
This is the man who's starting first.
Have you heard something I haven't heard?
Well, it will make an exciting race. Formellini, of course, will be the last man away and chasing Martin Fourcade.
Michael Willard now starting here in his living room here in Ruhpolding. Usually competes in the IU Cup, and he says it's so cheering, and it's so different to the UCAP. And of course, you first have to get used to this, to these wonderful fans here in Ruhpolding. Now all 107 athletes crossed the finish line. That means we're going to start the flower ceremony very soon. Stay with us here in the stadium for the flower ceremony. And then of course, we're going to see you again tonight at the champions part for the award ceremonies. Spring Canada.
Und jetzt haben wir auch die Ergebnisse der deutschen Mannschaft. Abschließend, wir fangen hinten an. Willeitner macht Weltcup-Punkte, sind die ersten in seinem Leben. Gratulation, er ist auf Platz 38. Verstanden 3 Punkte, auf 27 Messer, auf 20 Doll, auf 16 Büschel, ganz fantastisch der Büschel. Und 4 und 5, Haifa und Check. Das war das deutsche Ergebnis heute.
And we take a first look at the top 10 on this day. Martin Fulkan, Julian Eberhard, and Egil Svensson, 1, 2, and 3. And Haifa, Simon Schenk.
Welcome back to Ruhpolding, familiar sight there. Martin Fourcade topping the result table, started number 60, finishes number 1, 22:34 the winning time, and impressively out-skiing Julian Eberhard, who must have thought his second win in succession was coming from the sprints, but not to be. But all credit to Eberhard, Mike, he has turned it around. He looked like a very unlikely winner pre-Christmas, but he did some work on his shooting.